Safety training. Fall protection. In general industry, OSHA requires fall protection for employees working on working surfaces with unprotected sides or edges that are 4 feet, 1.2 meters, or more above a lower level. This is specifically outlined in OSHA Standard 1910.28b, 1I. Additionally, fall protection is required when working over dangerous equipment or machinery, regardless of the fall distance. 1910.140 Criteria and Practices for Personal Fall Protection Systems. ANSI Z359, a series of standards for fall protection, which often form the basis for OSHA requirements. Z359.1, Safety Requirements for Personal Fall Arrest Systems. Z359.2, Minimum Requirements for a Comprehensive Managed Fall Protection Program. Z359.3, Safety Requirements for Positioning and Travel Restraint Systems. Accident statistics. Not wearing a safety harness when working at height significantly increases the risk of severe injuries or death due to falls. These injuries can range from fractures and spinal cord injuries to traumatic brain injuries, and in the worst cases, fatalities. Suspension trauma is another serious risk, where blood pools in the legs after a fall, potentially leading to loss of consciousness and even cardiac arrest. What is fall protection? Fall protection encompasses systems and measures designed to prevent or minimize injuries from falls, particularly in work environments. It includes various methods, from preventing falls altogether, like guardrails, to catching a worker during a fall, like a safety harness. Essentially, it's about ensuring worker safety when working at heights or near potential fall hazards. Types of fall protection. Fall arrest systems. A system that will arrest a fall from elevation and includes catch platforms, safety nets and personal fall arrest systems that are worn by the user. Fall restraint system. A system in which all necessary components function together to restrain and/or prevent an employee from falling to a lower level. Positioning device system. A full-body harness or a positioning harness that is worked by an employee and is rigged to allow an employee to be supported on an elevated vertical or inclined surface. System for protecting employees from falls. Guard open-sided floors, walkways and platforms above or adjacent to dangerous equipment regardless of height with a railing and tow board. Guard open-sided floors and platforms 4 feet or more above adjacent floor or ground level by a railing. In general industry, if a hazard is not specifically addressed in the standards, employers must conduct and document a PPE hazard assessment, which includes which PPE is to be used for the job in question. Fall protection responsibilities. Employer responsibilities. Provide a safe work environment by ensuring that all working and walking surfaces are structurally safe and sound. Provide proper fall protection training. Provide all personal protective equipment as part of fall prevention training. Employers need to establish written safety policies with respect to fall protection. General industry must conduct and document a PPE hazard assessment for basically each work activity. Employers must ensure that employees are using their PPE. Employee responsibilities. To use fall protection equipment in accordance with employer policies and the manufacturer's recommendations. To properly inspect all personal fall restraint systems prior to each use. To report all defective components to your employer and remove them from service if necessary. Do your part to encourage a safety culture at your workplace that takes the necessary steps for a safe work environment. Hierarchy of fall protection. 1. Hazard elimination. Eliminate exposure to the hazard. 2. Passive fall protection, physical barriers around unprotected edges and cover over holes. 3. Fall restraint systems, use personal protective equipment to restrict the worker's range of movement so they can't fall. 4. Fall arrest systems, use personal protective equipment to arrest a fall within acceptable force and clearance margins. 5. Administrative systems, the least preferred control solution is work practices or procedure that increase a worker's awareness of a fall hazard. This is not recommended. Hazard elimination. Elimination consists of taking steps to completely remove the fall hazard. The focus of the example on this slide is to emphasize changing the work situation to minimize, or eliminate, the exposure to the fall hazard. An example is designing work to avoid working at heights, such as installing an HVAC unit on the ground instead of on a roof. Passive fall protection includes systems that don't require worker action to be effective, such as guardrails, safety nets, and covers for openings. Fall restraint system. Fall restraint systems prevent workers from reaching hazardous areas where falls could occur. These systems, such as guardrails and travel restraint systems, are designed to keep workers from approaching the edge of a fall hazard. Examples include guardrails, stair rails, and personal fall restraint systems with harnesses and lanyards. Fall arrest system. A fall arrest safety system typically includes an anchor point or series of anchor points, a safety lanyard or self-retracting lifeline, and a harness. This system must be designed to arrest or stop you before hitting the lower surface in the case of a fall. This gives you the freedom to walk all the way up to a fall hazard to do your work. Administrative systems. Fall protection administrative systems are a crucial component of workplace safety, focusing on procedures and practices rather than physical barriers or equipment to prevent falls. These systems involve implementing policies, training, and other measures to minimize fall hazards and promote a culture of safety among workers. Key aspects include developing comprehensive fall protection plans, conducting thorough hazard assessments, providing adequate training on safe work practices, and establishing clear communication protocols. Fall restraint versus fall arrest. Fall restraint, intended to prevent a fall from occurring. Fall arrest, intended to arrest or stop the fall after a fall has occurred and prevent the worker from striking a lower level. Personal Fall Arrest System, PFAS. FAS is comprised of multiple parts. Anchor point. Connectors. Full body harness. Lanyard. Deceleration device. Lifeline. Other suitable combination of these. Parts of the Personal Fall Arrest System, ABCs. Anchor points. The point of attachment for the lanyard, or lifeline, to a strong solid structure. Must be able to support 3,000 pounds, per employee, when used in conjunction with a self-retracting lifeline or shock-absorbing lanyard. Must be able to support 5,000 pounds, per employee, for all other personal fall arrest system applications that maintain a safety factor of at least 2. Connectors. A component or element used to couple parts of the system together, such as a harness to a shock-absorbing lanyard to an anchorage point. Double locking snap hook. The big double locking snap hook is a big light alloy connector intended as a rope terminal which forms a flexible anchoring line. It is suitable for metal constructions, poles, etc. It has an auto-locking double trigger that is simple to handle. Shock-absorbing lanyard. It connects a worker's harness to an anchor point and includes a shock-absorbing mechanism that extends during a fall, slowing the descent and reducing the impact force on the worker. This is crucial for preventing injuries from falls, as it limits the forces exerted on the worker's body to a safe level, typically 900 pounds or less. Self-retracting lifeline. A self-retracting lifeline is a deceleration device containing a drum wound line which can be slowly extracted from under slight tension but will automatically lock when a fall happens. One of the advantages of a self-retracting lifeline is that a fall is arrested almost immediately. It takes less than 2 feet to stop the fall. Another advantage is that it allows the worker to move freely. Pre-inspection of the safety harness.
Once you've gathered all your gear, you have a fall protection plan and a fall rescue plan, it's time to inspect your equipment. All equipment needs to be inspected before each use and at least once annually by a competent person. Inspect the 4 major components. Labels need to be present and fully legible. Hardware needs to be free from rust, pitting, and corrosion. Plastic components should not be damaged, broken, or distorted. There should be no damaged, loose, or broken stitches. Check the webbing for frays, cuts, tears, burns, paint, abrasions, or contaminants that could conceal the fibers. UV damage, like fading, also indicates wear and tear. Hold the harness by the D-ring and shake it out to get any tangles out of the straps. Slip the straps over your shoulders like you're putting on a jacket. When you're done, the D-ring needs to be in the center of your back between the shoulder blades. Put on the leg straps and tighten them. You want enough space that your hand can fit between your leg and the strap, but you want it to be tight enough that if you make a fist, you can't pull it back through. Connect the chest straps in the mid-chest area. If this one isn't connected, it's going to make it so that you can fall forward out of your harness. Also, you want to make sure that these side straps are tight enough that if you fall, this chest strap won't be able to come up and suffocate you. Lastly, connect the waist strap snugly. After all the straps have been connected, make sure that it fits well but still gives you a full range of movement. Okay, now that we've gotten through the ABCDs, let's get to work.
Fall clearance distance, FCD, calculation formula. Length of shock absorbing lanyard plus deceleration distance plus average height of worker, 6, plus safety factor 3 equals fall clearance distance. Note: 6 should be used in all calculations as the average height of worker, and 3 should be used for the safety factor. Inspecting the equipment, harness. Closely examine all nylon webbing for burn marks, tears, wear points, mildew, etc. Ensure no torn, frayed, broken fibers, pulled stitches, or frayed edges are found anywhere on the harness. Examine D-ring to ensure no pits, deterioration, cracks, or excessive wear. Ensure all grommets, if present, are secure and not deformed from fall or abuse. Ensure all rivets are tight and not deformed. Harness should be stored hanging in enclosed cabinet to protect from damage. Harness damaged and involved in falls must be removed from service. Inspections should be in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations. Inspecting the equipment, lanyard. Check lanyard materials for burns, cuts, rips, abrasions, kinks, knots, broken stitches, mildew and excessive wear. Ensure snap hooks are not distorted. Check carabiner for excessive wear, distortion, and lock operation. Ensure all locking mechanisms seat and lock properly. Once locked, locking mechanism should prevent hook from opening. Visually inspect shock absorber for signs of deployment or damage. Ensure points where lanyard attaches to snap hooks are free of defects. Include all manufacturer's recommendations regarding inspections for the lanyard. Inspecting the equipment, double locking snap hook. Look for hook and eye distortions. Verify that there are no cracks, eye distortions, or pitted surfaces. Ensure keeper latch seats into the nose without binding. Ensure keeper latch is not bent, distorted or obstructed. Ensure keeper spring securely closes keeper latch. Test locking mechanism to verify it's working properly. Inspecting the equipment, self-retracting lifeline. Visually inspect body to ensure no damage. Make sure all nuts or rivets are tight. Inspect the entire length of the wire rope for unusual wear patterns and broken strands or wires. Test unit by pulling sharply on lifeline to verify locking mechanism is working properly. Inspections should also be in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations. Storage and maintenance of fall protection equipment. Always hang equipment in a cool, dry place. Never store equipment in the bottom of a toolbox. Avoid dirt buildup on equipment. Never force dry. Never store in an area where exposure to fumes or corrosive elements may exist. Never use equipment for any purpose other than employee protection. After a fall. Rescue procedures, self-rescue. Some workers will have access to a personal rescue device, PRD, that will allow them to rescue themselves after a fall. A PRD can allow a person to manually climb back up, automatically raise themselves back up, or automatically lower themselves down after a fall. Rescue procedures, aided rescue. If a fallen person cannot rescue themselves, use ladders, aerial lifts, maintenance stands, or any other available equipment to rescue the person. It is preferred to lower the person to the ground when possible. A suspended person may experience shock, faintness, or loss of circulation to the legs due to the fall. Swing fall hazards. A condition that exists when a worker's anchorage point is not directly above the worker when they fall. The farther you move sideways from your anchor point, the greater the chance of swinging if you fall. The more you swing, the greater the force will be if you strike an object. Potential fall situations in the workplace. Open-sided floors, walkways and platforms. Floor openings and holes. Ladders. Mobile ladder platforms, scaffolding. Man and aerial lifts, lifts, stands and booms. On top of machinery. Why even good workers ignore fall protection? They are in a hurry. They don't think a situation is dangerous enough to require fall protection. They think they're experienced enough to avoid injury. It's easy to forget where you are in the press of work.